Good morning, folks. Caught me a little trade here in London session. I need to change the name of this stream. Maybe I should preserve some of this profit. I was up at 800 yesterday and I learned my lesson. So I'm going to preserve some of that profit real quick, and then I'm going to go into some details about what I'm seeing here. Here we go. So these blue lines represent a fair value gap on the 4-hour regular trading hour chart. There's a 4-hour regular trading hour low at 25,000, and that's kind of where I'm hoping this price will trade to. When we were trading at the 25,000 level, it was a freaking magnet. It wanted to go there multiple times, and so that's my ultimate target. Only got 4 micros on. But even at $800, even if I killed it right now, that's still a good day. And so I'm really being cautious. I don't want to get too greedy here. But ultimately what I'd like to do is see this line be a barrier. That's the halfway point of this fair value gap. So that would be an inversion of a 4-hour regular trading hour fair value gap. Pushing all the way back to 50 is also a possibility. Highly probable. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. This was a hard push, and so if it wants to keep pushing, I'm going to let it. I don't expect anybody to be watching it this hour. I want to keep record of my trades, so, and my screen capturing software hasn't been working too well, so I've just been doing them all on live. We may end up getting stopped out on this one. There's our halfway point. That would be the inversion of this fair value gap. Back to 50. $52. Yeah, it's looking like we might get stopped. We'll just have to see. Yeah, definitely we're running back up. It's pretty volatile. That was a pretty hard push back to 50. I hope it pushes just as hard back to the low, but I don't know. It's looking pretty iffy. it is a fair value gap to the upside, so it could continue up from here. If it'll get back down into this range, I'll be real comfortable with it continuing down. Right now I'm a little bit scared. I'm going to lock in half of that gap, right, half of that wick right there. Just a little bit more profit. 154. Yeah, won't make that much a difference in the grand scheme of things. But when you get profit, I learned yesterday I was up $800 and stopped out at 35 bucks. And so I don't want that to happen again. Back down to 30. We can push back in the 20s. I think we got some more teeth to the downside. At least fill this thing. I'm liking it to the point where I'll go to this 4 hour and show you what's up. So I'll go to the 4 hour and I go to regular trading hours. This is the fair value gap I'm referring to. So the fill of it is at 25.76. My take profit is right here at this 4 hour low. And I think that's where we're headed. So that would put us just a little bit below it. So that would be real exciting if it gets there. Yesterday, I got 2 XFAs funded. I only had the money to pay for one. So right now, I'm trading 2 XFAs, and I have one more combine I'm working on. And if it gets down there, it will definitely be. I did take a losing trade trying to get into this, by the way. So I was down 70 bucks. But yeah, if it gets there, this one will be funded as well. And so I'm going to have 4. But right now I got 2 working. I did request a payout yesterday. Yeah, it's coming. It's only 1,800, but heck, it's my second payout ever. That was my first one. This was a long gap in between them, but it's coming. 1,800 bucks. Should be here by Monday. And then I'll be able to pay for these other combines. And then my engine, what I call my engine, is going to be 5, where I can just do base hits. I don't have to have a stellar day. I can just get $200 or $300 a day and multiply that by 5, and we'll be making some good money. And that's the ultimate goal. I want you guys to understand I don't do any of this to show off or brag about my accomplishments. The whole reason I started this channel is because I believe it is possible to learn this, to begin the pattern recognition, and change your life. Really, quite literally change your life. It's struggling to get back through 30 here, but we did poke a little bit below it. This is a 5-minute chart. Well, if we can get past the center point of this wick here, so we're just basically bouncing at 100. We didn't even make it there. I kind of have a general rule: always kill it at round number and look for another spot to enter. And I didn't follow that rule, but we didn't get the round number either. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you can go back and watch my videos. I wanted to document all of my struggles, which I've done, and I still have struggles. I am not a pro, and I struggle big time still. I mean, you can look at the performance stats on this one. It took me 6 weeks. My goal on this one was don't blow it up, and it took me 6 weeks all total just to get a payout on it. but I've been trading micros only, controlling my risk. I had a really good week the first week, and man, I felt real confident. And then I went into drawdown and had a profitable week that week, losing week. This week was, it says 0. I don't think it was 0. That's the first week in November. A losing week again. And then this week's been pretty good so far. So, I mean, to say I'm a pro, absolutely not. But I am learning it. And I'm hoping that you're seeing it and you're saying, you know what? Well, we popped the round number there. I can do this too. It's just going to take time to learn the candle patterns, spotting them in real time. And I don't know that I should have probably killed it at round number. But popping round number and going back to 20 isn't alarming. Going back any higher than that, yeah, it's going to be a let's get out of this and see what happens next situation. I would like to see it push on through there. These are good sized 1 minute candles. They're 30 points or better in London session. And that's an immediate rebalance. We poke the low. Hopefully this won't be a 30-minute candle to the upside, and we can continue on down. I mean a 30-point candle to the upside. Otherwise I'm gonna get stopped out. But we barcoded that sucker. What I did on this XFA that I haven't done on any of my other ones, because I've gotten 20 of them funded and I just keep blowing them up, and that's frustrating. So you hear it all the time, control your risk. And so I was trading minis and I was controlling my risk by putting a $500 stop loss. I would lose $500 because I don't play mistake free ball. I do not. I make lots of mistakes. And so trading the micros has allowed me to make a decent profit. I mean, I'm not making $2,000-$3,000 days most days, but I can make a decent profit. Yeah, this was kind of worrying me just a little, just the price action. Make a decent profit, but actually control my risk. On the worst day, if I lose $400, I can salvage that. I can go to one micro, I can build that back up, and that's what I did. I had that account that I just got a payout on down to $193 at one point, and I had it as high as $2,700, and then I sized up again, went back to my old tricks, and lost $1,400 in one day. And so that I still need a reminder of that sometimes. If I ever size up, I get my butt handed to me. I'm like, okay, let's go back to those micros again. So definitely size down. Blowing up your account every week is not something professional traders do, and that's just the conversation I had to have with myself. If I really want to do this for a living, I've got to find a way to sustain it, keep my accounts active, even if it does take 2 or 3 weeks in between payouts. At least I'm getting regular payouts, and then that's my goal. If I want to do it for a living and it's going to be a sustainable source of income, then I need to be able to make consistent profit. Once I get the account up to a level where it's actually producing maybe I've got a $10,000 balance in the account, let's say, Then if I wanted to size up a little more, instead of 4 micros, maybe I do 6 or 8. Then I can actually start making a little bit more money on these trades. But $1,000 trade on 4 micros is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, how many times have you hopped into a mini and made $1,000 and did the pee-pee dance, you know? um, I don't know. That maybe the pee-pee dance is the best explanation for it. But either way, I do like that push down. I think we have the potential to at least fill this fair value gap. Getting to 25,000 is highly likely now. We pushed below, and it was such a magnet whenever it was here. Let's look at a 15-minute chart. This is the extended. So when we were here at this level, which I'm just going to do this. I'll do a bigger time frame. Let's do a 1 hour. So this is our 25,000 line right here. 25,000. There it is. Okay, so for a long time, it was like a resistance. And we would come up to it and pull back, come up to it and pull back. And then finally we broke above it and it became support for a while. But it has definitely been a magnet. So that's my target. That's what I'm hoping for. I've got $500 locked in. Should probably lock in a little bit more. $24.98. That's our 4-hour RTH low. Right here. And it's also the candle that created this fair value gap we're working through. And we just filled that fair value gap, so it's a possibility we do go up from here. But I just can't see us not taking that number when it was such a pivotal point in price for such a long time. I don't like the way it's retracing here. It's making me nervous. Okay, so it took back 200. We went to that quadrant of this fair value gap, and we haven't quite taken it yet. When we take it, that wall is going to be considered painted, and we could reverse there. I may be getting greedy trying to get down to here. Maybe I should take off the majority of the position when we fill it. Most recent swing high is there at 58. We'll just see when it pushes through. We'll see what it looks like. I might just flatten it. I've got to go help a friend move at 8 o'clock this morning, so I'm not going to be able to trade New York session. And so I was really kind of excited to see this setup coming about. Whenever I got into this trade, I'd woken up and, we'd taken that high and we were pushing down, and I was looking at this thinking, okay, well, we could take that low, and we pushed up to here. We validated a breaker to the downside here, and we pushed through this one. And so I think I actually entered somewhere around here. Yeah, somewhere around there. And then I'd rather be lucky than good. I really wasn't expecting it to go this far down. I was thinking half of this fair value gap, but we haven't had the fall sell off, and normally in the fall we sell off and until like a little after Thanksgiving, and then we can go into our Santa Claus rally. And so I'm expecting it to continue to sell off until then, and then the Santa Claus rally will come and fill all these upper gaps that we've just created. We still have a couple of regular trading hour gaps up here. Yesterday we had one, and oh man, I don't like the way this is pushing. It's making me real nervous. So that's my kind of my hypo, is we continue to sell off through Thanksgiving, or until we get to a level where the market makers are like, yeah, that's where I want to buy for this Santa Claus rally, and then we'll start heading back the other direction. I think 23,000 could be our lower target if we do continue to sell off. 23,000, I'll show you on the weekly. I think it's weekly and monthly. You can see it. I actually kind of have it marked. 23.8 right there. On the daily chart, this has, well, that's the month. So that's the monthly. This is the weekly. It's relative equal lows on the weekly. So I think that's our ultimate target here. Once we get there, well, then we can begin the Santa Claus rally. Can we fall 2,000 points in the next 2 weeks? Abso-freaking-lutely. I don't like this push. I think, I mean, we could take this high, this 5 minute, we could take that and continue to push, but I just don't like that I'm going to go look at this smaller time frame and see if we put up a breaker, because if we did, if we validated a breaker, then I got to kill it. So here will be our breaker validation right there. If we validate it, that's going to put me right at my stop anyway. As long as we don't validate that breaker, I'll feel comfortable holding it. Otherwise, I gotta kill it. That's my exit strategy. I do lose a few points because a lot of times validating a breaker will be 20, 30 points at least, especially when it's way up the column like that. This is our fair value gap to the downside. When we started this push down, did we fill? No, we didn't fill the fair value gap. That's some of the ambiguous stuff. Does London even refer to it in New York session regular trading hour fair value gap? On the daily chart, it's not a fair value gap. It's only on that 4 hour regular trading hour. Even on here, it's not. There is a low right there that we left on the regular. Oh, we took it. We took it. But on the daily, our low is all the way down here. And this is actually 25% extension of this week's range, 25% extension to the downside. That's the actual target right there, in my opinion. We can mark that as a daily low. It's looking like I'm going to get smoked on this one. Daily, and then 25% week EXT is right there. It's actually at 933. Okay, so this is kind of like looking like a 5-minute range. We can get here and leave that alone. That would be the ideal situation. I would put a fib on that. I don't need the 25% on this one. We would need to stay below that halfway point. I don't know, man. I think I should kill it and see what happens next. If it doesn't reject, I mean, like right away, I'm gonna have to kill it. And we're working into that fair value gap right there. I need it to fall out of bed right here. I mean, just absolutely rip lower on this candle. I'd a whole lot rather have $700 than have $500. Four seconds remain. Yeah, it's not going to. We took that high. Can we rip lower on this one? We're inverting this fair value gap. I think that's it. I think the gig's up. We'll see where we go next. We just validated this breaker, by the way. I didn't even see that. We put a fair value gap to the upside. Yeah, that was our cue to get out, and I didn't even notice it. I was looking at the weekly chart. So, not a bad trade. First day on this XFA. I need to put my DLL in there. Increased it to 400. This is another thing I did that has saved my account. Absolutely saved my account. Once I hit my DLL, I'm done for the day. And I'm not going to be a crybaby about it. I'm going to go ahead and take it on the chin and come back to, because the next day is going to be a better day. I know I'm not going to be wrong every single day, but there for a while I was. I certainly was. Yeah, we're offering higher. We'll probably go to the top of that wick. I might get back in at that point. We get here, maybe even up to here. I don't think we're done going down. But like I said, I've got a meeting. I've got to be at 8, so I'm not going to be able to trade. We're almost to New York session. We only have 15 more minutes to New York session. So it may be a better idea just to call it for the day. Be happy that I got what I got. I wish I would have killed it at round number. I was up $1,000 there. But trade management, that's my next thing. When you see, because I see that target, and I think it's going to that target every single time. And it will. I do believe it will. I think we'll get here by the end of the day. But we could go back to settlement first. You just never know. This is the first decent shift in market structure we've had in a while, and we did leave these highs, so why not? Why wouldn't we want to go to settlement? I'm not in a I'm not in a long frame of mind right now. I'm more in a let's sell off until Thanksgiving kind of a mindset. If it takes that high and shows a willingness to reverse, I might get back in. But with New York opening in 15 minutes, the New York pre-market will be opening in that time. So let's see how that other combine's doing. Something that I've never told y'all need to know, is you hear all the time, you can't trade in desperation. You'll just lose your money. And I'd say there's some truth to that. But since I quit my teaching job in 2023, June or July of 2023, I've been trading in desperation. I've been desperate to learn this so I can start making some money. And there's been some really lean times. And so if you hear that, that's just, is it more difficult? Probably, but it doesn't really matter. Trading's difficult sometimes. But when you're in desperation, you may be trying to force trades on days where they're really not available. On this day, you can see, well, we had this pullback. Possibly we could push back down after we take that. But it may not work out. But when you're in desperation and you lose, it can be really bad. It can really hurt your soul, and that's the emotional part you have to get over. But if you ever hear you can't trade in desperation, I'm here to prove you can, and you can get better. But you do have to put some measures in place. I'm still not in the best financial shape. I broke my leg July last year, and haven't been able to work as much as I used to, and I'm still in a bad spot. I'm gonna try. No, I'm not. It's New York Open. That's it. But it can be done. You can take this information. Like when I had my last XFA, I made $12,000 in a week, and I ended up taking a $3,000 payout, and then had another $6,000 day, I think, or $3,000 day, and so I was geared to make another payout, and I thought, okay, I have arrived, and I lost that money. I lost $2,500 2 days in a row. I don't have the kind of money to lose $2,500 2 days in a row, but that's what I did. And I ended up blowing up that account after having all that money in there. And so, that was my last payout, the one that I got in August. And I went through all this lean time. I got a payout yesterday, and it's been that long, and I can't go that long between paychecks. So the DLL, the sizing down, all of that, I didn't have a $12,000 week or anything. And that's probably not going to happen, at least not till I get my account size built up. But base hits, man, that's the name of the game. We only have to have $150 to have a qualifying day. Try for $150 or $200. Once you get to where you can consistently get funded, man, I'm glad I killed that when I did. You can do trade copying, and that $200 is, you can get 5 accounts. $200 times 5, that's $1,000 a day. Tell me any other job, any other situation where you can make $1,000 a day. Maybe if you go be a doctor or a lawyer, maybe then you could. I want to see what New York does. I'm going to give it to the open. New York AM session opens in 8 minutes, and so I would like to see it, you know, kind of push up into here and then continuous descent, but you just never know what's going to happen here. I could have definitely managed that trade a little better, killed it at round number. That would have been the smart thing. I always tell myself I'm going to do that, but since we were pushing so hard, as soon as we started all this, that's one thing that on live stream I get off chasing rabbits, and I should have killed it there. And if I was just sitting here staring at the chart and only reading the candles, these were actually saying we could push further back down because it was going up and pushing down. That's not really alarming. When we saw these, that was a little more alarming. That was going back to 20. You know, right here would have been a good place to kill it, especially there. And at that point, I'm looking at a weekly chart, trying to show y'all where we might possibly trade to. So I would not have been looking at a weekly chart had it just been me sitting here with no live stream on. So I would say the only thing about the live stream that I definitely do get distracted because I want to share information with y'all. But at the same time, it holds me accountable because I do have a problem with over trading, and I might have added to it as soon as it hit that high for some reason. Or, you know, I do stupid things when y'all aren't watching. I definitely do. So I enjoy doing the live streams, and like my software for screen capturing hasn't been working too well. So I'm glad that y'all are here and able to watch. If y'all comment on the live stream, it'll get more suggestions for other people to see it. So if y'all are watching, just say hi in that chat. And hit the like button too, because the like button will also refer it to more people. And I think more people need to see this. So here's our breaker. If we're going to have more upside, we could come back down to this breaker and then adios paya to possibly settlement. If you look at this from a 15-minute perspective, this is where we were. We went and took out that high, and then this is when we started falling down. So from that perspective, there's a breaker up here somewhere that we could possibly trade back to, and that would be good with settlement, and then we could continue our descent. So let's mark out that breaker and see where it is. Okay, so here was our previous high, so that's somewhere around here is a breaker, and that poke right there looks like it kind of referred back to it, but maybe not. Man, that was a choppy mess. Look at that. Ooh, that would have sucked. So there's our highest high. Here's our breaker. And we had a really nice push down. No opportunity to enter. When we pushed back up, we just took out those highs. Didn't even mess around with that thing. But keep that level in mind as we go into the open. I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be live streaming. But as we go into the open, keep that breaker and this fair value gap in mind, because we could offer back to settlement and possibly up into this. I'll put a box on that guy. I think we have a little more. Yeah, there we go. Let me blow it up so y'all can see it good. I know some people like to watch this on their phone, and it's hard to see on a phone screen what levels I'm marking. There we go. So yeah, that would be the fair value gap after the breaker that started this move down. We never did even work back up into it. So at the open, if we fill the gap, I would look for it to work into that area, maybe even make a new high. But ultimately, I think we're going to be down here by close of business. Actually, this is where I think our target is for the day right there. That's 25% extension of the daily range, which we're already below the weekly range, rather. I think that's it. That number right there, mark it down. 24,937. But we could go all the way up there and fill those gaps first. You just never know. I really don't have time to sit here and monitor the position. I think we are going to go down. New York AM open was a little underwhelming. There is a volume imbalance on the 5-minute right here, but there also is this fair value gap to the downside right here, and that high, which we got settlement looming. I don't really feel comfortable taking a short position. That's another thing I've been doing. Unless I see a really good A+ setup, I'm not going to mess with speculating. Do we go back to round number? Do we go back to settlement? Where can I take a short? I will speculate stuff like, okay, typically we return to the breaker, so I might put a limit order there. That's what I did yesterday. After being up 800, I was like, oh, we'll probably return to the breaker here on this big, gigantic freaking push down that took all my money away. And so I entered there with my fingers crossed, and I got my money back. But I'm not going to speculate here as which direction we're going to go. Ultimately, I do think we're going down. But going back to settlement first, going all the way back up to here first, is very possible. So I'm not going to take any more trades. I've got to be somewhere at 8. I need to go get ready. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream now. But as y'all go throughout your day, put those levels on your chart. Let me blow it up so you can see them good. This is that fair value gap, regular trading hour fair value gap that we're going to be working. We'll probably work the quadrants a little bit, but ultimately I think here and here is where, if you get in a short with some micros somewhere up around settlement, I think that's where we're aiming today. Could be wrong, but you know, I'm wrong a lot. So just be cautious. Don't put on too much size. Put on a decent amount of risk. Don't put on $1,000 worth of risk if you don't want to lose $1,000, because you will lose it. Getting in with a couple of micros here at settlement, because filling that gap is really highly probable when New York opens. But let's say you did that. We filled the gap. Maybe we even traded up and took out that high and left that. And then we started working our way down. Then you get in at settlement, breaker, fair value gap, and we just traded this one. On one micro, that's $600. 1,200 on two, and I've been trading 4, so I mean that is a decent amount of money. We come all the way down to here. That's 350 times 2. $700 on one micro. That might be something to even put a limit order in at settlement. And a $200 risk would get you 100 points above settlement. That would get you above the high of the day. $200 risk, $700 potential profit. If I'm not even home or in front of my computer, I mean, it may be worth a gamble, I don't know. But I would think if you could get involved somewhere here with just even small size, you're going to make some good money today. We may trade all the way up into here. You know, this is that opening gap that we worked so hard yesterday, and at the end of the day we couldn't even make it back up to the high of that opening gap. That may be where we start working today. And then above that, of course, we have the end log too. It could be working up into here. Wednesday's settlement, we left a gap up here. I just don't see us working back up into here, or we would have done it while we were there. So overall, the week has been bearish, and I think we're going to continue to be that way. This isn't really wanting to push up much at all. If we open right now, we'd be opening with a gap down of 112 points. So I think that's I think filling that gap is a really high possibility this morning, and then so. $600 one micro, not a lot of risk. Think about it, watch it. I'm not going to be here, so I already told you that 100 times, but I'm going to go ahead and end it now, guys, girls and guys, whoever's on here. I'll talk to y'all next time.